This time we're going to go ahead and commence with our meeting. I'm going to ask Commissioner Thomas to please give our invocation and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All please stand. Thank you.
Please join me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We bow our heads, we bow our hearts. We acknowledge that you are the King, you are our Savior. We acknowledge that all things we do are worthless without you. We just ask you to be present with us tonight. Guide our hearts, guide our minds, help us make the right decisions for our county, for our community. Thank you for those of our servants joining us here tonight, and I just ask your blessings upon them, upon their family, and upon the rest of this meeting. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, is there any additions or changes to the approval agenda?
Yes, Chairman, Mr. Chairman. Item number 7 under consent. We have a revised attachment of that. We'll need to consider that out, so I need to pull it.
Okay, so we're going to pull number 7.
That's right.
Okay. I'm going to add in another presentation that Mr. Bruce Ashley is going to do a presentation under awards and presentations, and also if the board's agreeable with it, I want to item number 15 in general business that says request board direction regarding Veteran Services Office. I want to move that item to the top whenever we get to that.
Good idea. Okay. Motion to approve the agenda. It's modified.
Second.
Do we have any more changes, Mr. Cashler?
It's going to be heavy presentation.
So you would like to add something as well to the awards and presentations? Do we have any other additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have any citizens to be heard in the first section? Okay, we don't have any citizens to be heard in the first section tonight, so we don't have any public hearing items, so we're going to move on into our awards and presentations. The first award and presentation that we're going to have Mr. Steve Cushman come up from Keep Wakulla County Beautiful, and he's going to give a presentation.
Good evening, citizens. We're here tonight to do a President Junior ROTC program. Implemented a program that we've kind of been going through, where we've been helping citizens that aren't able to get in compliance when they have a compliance issue come up. And the kids from the ROTC program showed up on one we did back in February on the 22nd, and they helped us load a dumpster with 9,800 pounds of trash off of a person's property, got him into compliance, and then we handled the rest with the code board so that he didn't meet any kind of penalties on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the National Forest Cleanup. We had that in the first part of March, and again they showed up full force. I think there was 23 or 4 of them that showed up for that. So they've been very instrumental and dedicated into helping this county with beautification projects. And they recently, just this past weekend, we did the re-landscaping at the historic courthouse, and there was at least 10 or 12 of them there for that helped out. So they're a highly motivated, highly dedicated group of individuals who really take pride in this county. So we wanted to recognize them with a plaque.
Yeah, and we also have the plaque. The plaque reads, "Wakulla is presented from County Beautiful, presented to Wakulla High School, NJROTC class of 2014, in gratitude for your extraordinary service, dedication, hard work, and enthusiasm on behalf of Keep Wakulla County Beautiful in Wakulla County." I think what we were going to do just for a moment, the commissioners was going to come down to the front along with them, and we're going to get a picture presenting the plaque.
Here, yeah, y'all come up here, the cadet.
I would just like to mention, since Steve has been a member of the code board, this has developed into a great partnership. As you well know, we've got a lot of people that can't keep up with their properties, and this was a great hand, and we thank everybody for doing all this.
Okay, I have one more thing to say. You know, as director of Keep Wakulla County Beautiful, I can't say enough about what a great job these cadets do. And Ron and our new Michael Gonzalez is coming out tonight for the first time, so he has taken Lieutenant Stewart's place, and we appreciate him. But those kids students, I'm sorry, you kids to me, have done such a great job, and we'd like to present you with a donation from Keep Wakulla County Beautiful. So, and it's, you know, it's great that you help us out, and I know y'all can use that. And if we need to borrow money to feed them pizza again, we know where we can, because they do a great job. And they also went around this Saturday and cleaned up the whole courthouse square. So if you notice that there are no weeds in your garden, then that's because of these cadets. So thank y'all for everything you do. We really do appreciate it.
And I have one more presentation for them. During the cleanup over on MLK, the 9,800 pounds we picked up, I took the time to separate out all the aluminum out of that pile, and we recycled it. And so to show that recycling actually pays off, and you guys did a great job out there, we have another $100 donation from the Aquatic Science Association where we cashed in those cans.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Okay, our next awards and presentation is going to be by Lynn Art. She's going to be speaking on the Sustainable Big Bend Green Living Expo.
What am I reading?
All right. Good evening. Well, we're here to invite you to come join us this Saturday, April 26th at the Green Living Expo. We'll be in Hudson Park in the TCC Wakulla Center from 9 to 2, and come and have some fun and learn some practical ways to save money and reduce your impact on the earth.
I want to invite you to come inside as well as outside for all the educational workshops that will be going on, from learning the role of wildflowers in our county, feasting straight from the garden, landscaping with low water in mind. We have a full slate of workshops that we'll be presenting you a schedule for, and the outside ones will go on from 9 to 2, the inside as well. I hope you'll come.
If you're age 7 to 12 and like to ride bikes, listen up. Report to the south end of Hudson Park on the hour every hour from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. to get a free helmet, ride in a bike rodeo, and get a chance to win a free mongoose bike.
Adults who like to ride bikes can get a free helmet, learn how to maintain their bike, and even have their bicycle repaired at the expo. So go to the tents at the south end of Hudson Park, and there will be information about local bicycle trails as well, plus a bicycle raffle, which we will give away a men's bike and a women's bike.
Bring the whole family. Don't leave us kids at home. There are 6 Eagle Kids activities to keep us entertained.
It is very important that you register when you arrive to get a free reusable bag, turn in an evaluation at the end, and you may win a rain barrel. The registration area is where you also will find several raffles and a water refill station for the can or reusable water bottle we ask you to bring. To enter the raffle for a pomegranate tree from Just Fruits and Exotics, bring empty black plant pots 6 inches or larger in good condition.
And don't miss the silent auction, the repurposing center, yay recycling, and the repurposing art auction in the lobby of the TCC Wakulla Center. In Hudson Park, look for bargains at the Green Flea Market and help yourself to some freebies on the free cycle table.
Our exhibitors look forward to showing you their offerings, which range from compressed natural gas cars to tips on how to lower your electric bill. At lunchtime, swing by the Historical Society's fish fry for a delicious meal. Whether you seek a simpler, more sustainable life or a day of fun, the Green Living Expo is for you. See you there this Saturday.
Who is the young girl there on the left?
Erin Fortier.
Yeah. I keep seeing her around here. What is her name?
Erin Fortier.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Lynn, for that announcement.
Get your bike.
Don't forget the bike, Lynn.
Good job, guys.
Okay, our next presentation is going to be given by Sheriff Charlie Creel. He's going to be speaking on the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office budget issues.
Good evening. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up here and speak. It's budget time again. We're going to be presenting our budget to you here within the next week or two, and I wanted to give you some highlights of what we've done with this year's budget and what we plan on doing with next year's budget. Last year, when you passed our budget, you asked us to cut 3 positions and $150,000 out of the 14-15 budget. We're cutting 7 positions and $400,000 out of the budget. We have tallied up the numbers for this year by leaving positions open. I saw when you told me last year we needed to cut positions, so those positions came open. I did not fill them. So we anticipate it, once we close the books on the 13-14 budget, to return you $350,000, a minimum. It could be more. With the $162,000 we gave you last year, and the $350,000 and the $400,000 in budget cuts, that's $912,000 in the last year, almost $1 million that we're saving the taxpayers. The only thing we are going to ask over and above this year in our budget is capital outlay, and that's for air conditioning units, $15,000. We're not asking for any vehicles, anything else for the capital outlay. There's been some questions about, and rumors are floating all around about we're $800,000 in the red, which we're not. The county is, and everybody knows how that happened. It's a county issue. It's an ICE detainee issue. Now, we've got an ICE attorney and a lobbyist in Washington that's working with us. They're working right now with ICE, trying to get us a minimum number guarantee of detainees, which is going to require us to go up there and meet with Senator Nelson in ICE in Washington about this. What we want to do is we want this guaranteed number. Everybody, we can live with our means if we've got a guaranteed number, because then we know how much we've got coming in. But they forced us on the Sheriff's Office 2 years ago to bring Armor Medical Group in because of these ICE detainees at $1 million or a little bit more. They did not give us a minimum number. And we just don't think that's acceptable in trying to craft the budget. So we're asking for that. We're good stewards of the county's money. Every purchase order that comes in that office to be signed is either signed by me or the undersheriff. Every check that goes out is signed by myself or the undersheriff. The One Stop Community Center, which we're the physical agent for now, I sign every check and I sign every purchase order that goes for that. We are watching the county's money. All these rumors that are floating around, like the budget and all that, I told a couple of you, call me. All of you have my cell phone number. You know, if it's just not good for stuff like this to be floating around. And when it does, it's time to nip it in the bud. So call me, and I'll be glad to speak to you. You know, people want to look at the books, come on over. We're open for business, and we're open to show the people the books if they want to come over and look at them. We are going to do a staffing study. I met with a consultant. David Edwards met with him individually. It's a good price to do a staffing study on our office, a manpower allocation. For him to come in and do this study for $4,000 or $5,000 is a heck of a deal. And it'll let us know to where we've either got too many people or we don't have enough to create a safe environment. So we're going to start there. We're going to do an internal review to make sure that our core services are provided, and we're providing them to the county and the citizens of this county, and we're going to do an internal review on that. We're anticipating $800,000 in budget shortfalls. That's county. That's not only the sheriff's office has been put out there that we are $800,000 in the red. We can't be $800,000 in the red. We don't carry debt load. We pay our debts as they come due. We can't overspend our budget, which we would not do anyway. It takes funding to keep Wakulla County safe, and we are going to watch every penny that we're spending. We're not going to over and ask for things that we don't absolutely need, that we want, that we need it. We have to have it. Wakulla County is a safe place. It's a safe place to live, a safe place to work, a safe place to raise our children. Uniform crime reports are getting ready to be released by the Department of Law Enforcement, 2013 over 2012. Crime last year was down 17.7% over 2012. Burglaries were down 31.5% over 2012. This is a safe place to live and work. It's a safe place for people to move and to relocate businesses here to bring in tax dollars for this county. So we are going to do our part, I can assure you, to spend your tax dollars wisely, prudently, efficiently, and leanly. So I just want to give you those little tidbits. We will be supplying the budget to you here in the next week or so. So I look forward to meeting with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presentation is going to be the annual financial report that will be delivered by Mr. Richard Powell of Powell and Jones CPAs.
I look forward to this every year.
I'm sure. It's a pleasure delivering the annual audit of Wakulla County. Each of you have the report. It has 280 pages in it, and I assure you I'll only try to do the highlights of the first few pages. So as always, I'll review the highlights and then be pleased to answer any questions, address any concerns of the commission. On page 3 and 4 is the audit opinion. It states that it's a complete audit of the county, completed in accordance with applicable auditing standards, which include the financial auditing standards, the government auditing standards, the federal single audit standards, and the state single audit standards. So it has 4 levels of audit review. In an audit, what you seek is a clean, unmodified opinion that states that the financial statements are an accurate reflection of how the county stood at the end of the year and what transpired financially during the year. And you have that highest level of assurance, unmodified opinion, which is a good reflection on the quality of the financial records and practices of the county. The next section, which runs 5 through 17, is some required overview information on the county called the Management's Discussion and Analysis. But in that, all of those numbers are derived from the financial statements. I will directly review the financial statements and ask you to read that on your own. On page 20 and 21, I'll just quickly go over these. These are some financial statements prepared under business accounting principles, not fund accounting principles as the county operates on, but just to kind of show the county as a whole. And of the governmental activities, and I'll just go straight to the bottom line, the net equity was $59,328,089. When you look at that unrestricted net equity, that's kind of like the unrestricted reserve. The total was a positive $104,522. Why that's significant, in the prior year, 2012, that was in the negative $378,000. So that's stronger by about $500,000. The equity and business type, $15,837,127. So the kind of the net worth of the county as a whole is $75,165,216, and of that, the unrestricted net position is $641,149, which is an increase over the prior year. The county operates its operations under fund accounting, and fund accounting I call kind of cash accounting. And so if we look at page 22 and 23, I'll quickly review these with you. 22 are the governmental funds, all of the funds and operations of the county, excluding the sewer and solid waste, are governmental funds. The key fund here is the general fund, because all of the other funds generally have various restrictions. So the total assets of the general fund, $4,816,151. Again, those are cash accounts. Total liabilities, $1,259,410. The fund balances are your cash reserves. The total is $3,556,741. If you look at those two bottom ones, assigned and unassigned are basically funds under control of the board. The total is the $2,496,557. A relationship of those reserves that's very important is how many months of expenditures are in those reserves. In the prior year, which was a great increase, it was about 1 month. Here it's about a month and a half. So you've increased the percent of those reserves. I believe your fund balance policy is to get it to 3 months, and so you're about halfway there. And but it is an improvement from the prior year. The total reserves, $9,552,034, and you can see that over half of that is restricted for various statutory reasons generally. Statement just below it is the revenues and expenditure statement on these funds. The general fund revenues are $18,081,599. Expenditures $19,483,305. After the transfers and all, you were positive $587,617, and so if you recall, in prior years you had some significant financial challenges, but in the 2012 and in this year you've increased those reserves over $1 million, and so you've been able to reestablish those reserves. Overall, for all the funds, you were positive $599,319. With all these columns, the numbers get smaller. In the governmental funds, you had a positive situation. You increased your reserves. You were stronger at the end of the year than at the beginning of the year. Quickly on the enterprise fund statements, 26 and 27. Here the significant assets are the capital assets, but again, if you look at the bottom, the net position on 26, that's net equity. The total equity was $15,837,127, and if you look at that unrestricted equity, is kind of like the unassigned fund balance. The total was $536,627, and it was an increase of about $400,000 over the prior year. So in this fund, you also strengthened operations. The purpose of enterprise funds is to basically operate on user charges and special assessment, which is a type of user charge, so that the tax and general government money is not utilized. In the operating revenues, $4,343,137. Operating expenses, $3,924,890. Operating profit, $418,247. After the grants and the contributions and all, the bottom line was an increase in the net assets of $409,381, including depreciation. So again, in this fund, you were stronger at the end of the year than at the beginning of the year. After it are the notes and disclosures, and on page 49 is a table that shows the capital assets. And again, these are categorized into the governmental assets and the business type assets. The governmental assets on the cost basis were $90,404,777. Accumulated depreciation at $33,890,172. The net assets $56,500,000. What this tells you is that your governmental assets are older, that they're about 60% depreciated, so yours are probably older than comparable the governmental units. And that's also is a reason to build reserves where you can. The business type activities, the cost basis $25,356,318. Accumulated depreciation $7,828,196. The net assets $17,526,122. Those assets are about 45% depreciated, so it's just slightly higher than average. I think average is around 35 to 40%. But it also is, again, when you have the opportunity to build reserves. On the debt, on page 56 at the bottom, there's descriptions of all the loans and various debt that you have. But at the bottom, it's always good to see the debt drop. You started out owing $10,916,659. You added some, you reduced a lot. The ending amount was $9,449,373. So in this year, the debt decreased about $1.5 million. So it was lower again at the end of the year than at the beginning of the year. So I would say financially, you had a very successful year. You were stronger at the end of the year than at the beginning of the year, and you are reestablishing your reserves. The next section is the compliance and internal control section on page 98. As I mentioned, the various audit procedures that were required in this audit. On page 98 is our overall report regarding audit procedures required by government auditing standards. These not only are financial related, but also compliance with various laws, regulations, etc. And you had no findings on that in those procedures. The next, on page 100, is our audit report required by the federal single audit standards. It again has no findings, no question costs. Page 102 is our report regarding the state single audit requirements, and again, that's special compliance procedures regarding major state grants. It has no findings or question costs. And then beginning on page 106 is the schedule of the grants, and I tell everyone else is that Wakulla County is blessed with grants. You have a lot of them, and it's good. But the federal grants for the year were $2,951,472. The state grants were $1,607,834. And it is, and I'll just mention, it's all of the information I've given you is a combination of the board plus all the constitutional officers, so they were in that overall information. And finally, the management letter on page 114. In the management letter, we addressed some specific items required by rules of the Auditor General, and then we look at any prior year findings to see if they were the status of them in the current year, and then have any new findings. It's always good to say all prior year findings of the board were corrected during the current year. You only had one current year finding, and included in the state single audit requirements, we reviewed some selected SHIP participant files, And and in there, in the files, there were not a few exceptions where you have required repayment agreements that if after an improvement or the down payment assistance, if it is not held 5 years and there's a pro rata repayment required, a couple of the agreements either did not have the signatures of the recipients, and it's not sure whether the agreements existed or not, but they were not in the participant files. In the clerk's audit, no reportable findings in the prior year, no reportable findings in the current year. Property appraiser, no reportable findings in the prior year, no reportable findings in the current year. Sheriff, no reportable findings in the prior year, no reportable findings in the current year. Supervisor of elections, no reportable findings in the prior year, no reportable findings in the current year. Tax collector, no reportable findings in the prior year, no reportable findings in the current year, which is just excellent. Other areas, the annual report filed electronically with the state, annual financial report is in agreement with the audited financial statements. The county invested its public funds in accordance with Florida statutes. Always have to say this, we determined that the county had not met any of the conditions described in the section of law that might result in a financial emergency. As required by rules of the Auditor General, we perform financial condition assessment procedures. I've given you the highlights of those. Extremely happy to say we noted no deteriorating financial conditions within the county during this year. The clerk has 2 compliance issues that they were in compliance with. Did not have any other items that are required to be disclosed. We reviewed our audit information with the board staff and the finance staff and each constitutional officer's staff, and discussed with them, given them any requested information. As always, we appreciate working for the board and appreciate helpful assistance and support we've had in all of our audits. Any questions, comments?
No, sir. Is there any questions or comments from the board?
Excellent job again. Thank you. Thank you. Very exciting.
Thank you, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Our next presentation is going to be given by Mr. Bruce Ashley.
Thank you for this minute, Commissioners. I'll make it brief. There are a lot of great events in our county this weekend. One of the events that the Sheriff's Office participates in twice a year is the National Drug Take Back Day. This is a day that anybody in our community that has unwanted, unused, or outdated drugs in their home can bring them to one of 3 locations where a sheriff's deputy will happily take it off your hands for proper disposal, so it doesn't end up in our aquifer or down our toilets or in the wrong place or the wrong hands. So we encourage participation in this twice a year. This one is on April 26th, Saturday, when there's a lot of other events going on. So if you're out and about, bring those drugs from your home and drop them at either Crumb's Mini Mall in the parking lot in Panacea, the health department in the parking lot outside over here on Oak Street, or the Kangaroo Station number 138 in Wakulla Station. You'll see a deputy in prominent view with a container to take all those unwanted drugs off your hands, and we'll take care of them for you. And a reminder, we have a deposit box in our lobby, which is almost full right now, for that very same purpose every day of the year. So the best way to dispose of drugs is bring them to the sheriff's deputy.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kessler, you said you had a award and presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We know that April is Sexual Violence Awareness Month, and that's Sexual Violence Awareness Month. And this coming Wednesday, April 23rd, at 12 noon at the First Baptist Church of Crawfordville, there will be a presentation by author and incest survivor who will be speaking on how writing saved his life and the effects to educate the public about incest and teenage suicide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes our awards and presentations. And do we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we had item number 7 that was pulled from the consent.
Yes. This item requests board approval letter of support for Wakulla County Historical Society in pursuing a Department of State historical grant and authorization for the chairman to sign the letter. We just amended the letter some, and we'd ask for you guys to approve that.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion made and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're gonna, we don't have any planning and zoning items. Okay, general business. Our first thing we're gonna discuss is request to board direction regarding Veteran Services Officers.
Yes, this agenda item comes to you asking board direction for direction related to the Veteran Service Office. As you know, our Veteran Services Officer, he was in an accident and will not be returning back to service. Therefore, since then we have since that time we have been operating with a Veteran Service Officer out of Gadsden County, and that we're nearing the end of that contract term. We wanted to see if J.D. was going to make it back, but he was not going to be able to make it back, so now we need to make a decision as to how to move forward.
I'll make a motion we go forward. Option 2, part-time, OPS, 20 hours a week, Veteran Service Officer.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion made and second. Okay, I have two citizens to speak on this issue. First citizen is Mr. Mike Ford.
Ford, I appreciate being able to speak to you. I'm sort of speaking from the heart, more from the financial. First off, I'm a 3-time recipient of the Purple Heart. Number 2 is I am a volunteer service officer. I work at the VA. As commander of 758, Wakulla County's veterans are included in my members. As a service officer at the VA, each day we are certified, but we're not accredited, which means we're volunteers. As paid county officers, they become accredited through the Florida Department of Veterans. Every day I miss J.D. People come into my office. Now, I'm in that foreign land of Tallahassee. Wakulla veterans want to talk to a representative in their own home. When a veteran misses a day of a claim, it may add a long time to that claim process. The VA is still $500,000 behind. For a spouse to receive her benefits, she's 2 years still in waiting. All of those really help, because the VA is doing what they can do. I'm not talking bad about anybody. But I am saying, as a volunteer, I was able to pick up my phone and call J.D., or the county service officer. Give them a veteran's situation here in their hometown. And that veteran was able to go to them. I just can't speak enough about how much it means to have someone to sit down and talk to a spouse about what benefits she's entitled to or not entitled to. Because we old curmudgeons of veterans don't tell our wives anything. The county service officer does. Secondly, in that they're accredited, they can get into VA records where a service officer cannot. These are things that you already know. I don't need to tell you how many veterans you have. You know that. I'm not going to tell you how much money they get from the VA. I am going to tell you is that they need a county service officer. I need a county service officer to help me do my job. And I'm asking you for your support of a full-time position. Thank you.
Okay, our next citizen is Mr. Mark Alvarez.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Mark Alvarez. I am the District 2 Commander for Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm also the Legislative Chairman for the state of Florida for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'd like to commend my comrade, Mike Ford, who's also a member of my post in Tallahassee, for the way that he presented this position. We need a full-time service officer here in Wakulla County. And I will give you some statistics, excuse me. You have 3,500 veterans here in Wakulla County. That's 10% of the population of veterans in this county, and growing. Just today, or just a few minutes ago, you all gave an award to the ROTC. My hope is that they never need a service officer, but unfortunately that's the wishful foundation, which is not reality. $460,000 in revenue coming to this community from the VA in pensions and also in benefits to veterans. $407,000 of that, it comes out of the VFW and the service officers, that the work they do. I have heard nothing but compliments about Mr. J.D. Johnson and the work that he does here. And not only does he do a good job, but he's also busy in this community taking care of all the veterans. Our community, our state, by its means, it's just has become, and it's been said, that it is the most friendly veteran state in the nation, and we are growing. Hopefully this conflict is going to come to an end sometime soon, and people are going to come and want to live in Wakulla County. Our veterans in this county, like in every county, deserve the best when they come back. You need a full-time service officer in this county. You need to give that kind of service that you all have always given before, and for that you need a full-time service officer here. You cannot ask your veterans to go to Gaston County or Leon County or any other county with the amount of work that they themselves are going to be experiencing. You have to provide that same kind of service here and move forward. So we please ask you to consider this very, very serious situation, that you do need a full-time service officer here in this county. Thank you very much for your time, and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion among commissioners?
Just for clarification, Mr. Edwards, the part-time is how many days a week?
That's 20 hours a week. It'll be determined as what days a week that is based on the volume.
Okay.
And I want to say my motion was based on the recommendation from the Gaston County officer. How long has he been here serving?
Since
JD's been out several.
January, yeah.
Since January. His recommendation definitely do not close a veteran service officer. He says, but after working in this office for some time now, I think it can be accomplished with 4 or 2 days per week, 8 a.m. to 12, basically part-time. And he's been doing the job. I think I'm a veteran myself. I'm not saying I'm an expert on anything, but I think that this is a good compromise, if you want to call it that. It'll be a Wakulla County person.
Yes, I'm very supportive of us having a veteran service officer here in the county. I'm a veteran as well, along with Commissioner Thomas and I believe Commissioner Castro. It happened a little bit while ago that I was needing help through Veterans Affairs, and I was trying to navigate through Veterans Affairs myself, and I myself went to JD, and he was able to help navigate it. Plus, you know, my father, plus members of my family and my friends also need it. So I've experienced firsthand how important it is for us to have a county person here. So I'm very supportive of it. Also supportive of the recommendation that's been given about the 20 hours a week. You know, it's be a part-time, but we would have a veteran service officer here, which I think is very important. And I just also want to thank each of you for your service to our country.
Mr. Chairman, may I say something?
Yes.
If we're going to do 20 hours, then I would do 4 hours a day for 5 days instead of doing 2 days, because if you do Tuesday and Thursday, then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there's nobody to talk to. So if you're going to do 20,
yeah, we'll set it and then we'll see how it goes and tweak it from there.
yeah, try to put somebody here every day.
We'll make it to where it's available for the public.
I'd just like to point out that Mr. Jordan has been filling in for us. He's the vice president of the County Veteran Service Officer Association. So not only is he a current service officer, but he's also part of that organization. And I also spoke with the president of the organization, and he felt confident that part-time would work for us. I think, you know, I'm speaking for myself, but I think I speak for all you guys, that none of us want to catch our veterans short, and if we can save a little money and still achieve the mission, then do it at part-time will work. I'd like to say to you guys in the community out there, but if that doesn't work, come back to us. If there's somebody that can't fit that schedule, let one of us know. If there's someone that needs a ride to town, believe me, I'll take them myself, or we'll find somebody to get them up there. I want you guys to know that our commitment is to the veterans. We've all served, and we know how important that is, and maybe we can save a few dollars, but it's not all about the dollars. And so if we find out that halftime doesn't work, we'll maybe come back and revisit that. But my commitment is certainly to keep that position open.
And this motion, if passed, would allow us to maintain the position of Veteran Service Officer here in the county, just on a part-time basis, but we would still maintain the position.
Ask a question.
Well, you have to fill out a card.
That was just a question.
Yes, sir.
Draft board that sent for me part-time. I'm a draftee.
Yes.
Draft board that sent for me part-time.
Well, sir, if you need to speak.
I mean, it don't really require that. I say we go ahead and vote, Richard.
Okay, sir, okay. Sir, I would like to get with you after the meeting if we can discuss it. Thank you. Yes, sir. Do we have a motion and a second? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you for your service, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for at least keeping the position open.
Yes, sir.
And being open to discuss it in the future.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item for general business is request board approval of resolution certifying the wetlands ordinance for referendum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item, we have provided a resolution. There's a hard copy in front of you because it has changed slightly from the electronic version that you received last week. This is a resolution that would set the wetlands referendum for the November 4th, 2014 election. You will notice that the proposed ballot language has been supplemented with some additional information in order to provide a clear message to the voter of what they're voting on. The proposed ballot summary is found on page, double-sided, it's on page, 5 of your resolution at the top. There's a title and then a ballot summary that cannot exceed 75 words.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and second to approve the language. I have several citizens to speak on this issue. The first citizen I have is Chuck Hess.
Chuck Hess, 112 Lake Ellen Circle. The 30% of the county asked you to do this, so I think you should go ahead and do it and move forward. Thank you.
Pretty sure it'll pass.
Our next citizen is Bob Danzy.
Yeah, my name is Bob Danzy. I believe that the statute makes it clear that we have to have it clear for the people, so I think that that's important. I just want to remind everybody that last meeting, probably 20 speakers got up and said that they didn't want us to have the opportunity to vote on voting day. They wanted you to go ahead and pass it. But just for me, I intend on voting against this. So I appreciate what you're doing, making it clear, and let's have our day in November. Thank you.
Our next citizen is Mr. Jack Rudlow.
It's time to put this on the ballot, move past it. We will prevail, but let's get back to the mental health of the county, which is severely impaired. Thank you.
Next citizen is Mr. Hugh Taylor. Is Hugh Taylor here? I see him. All right. Okay, Eugene Watkins. We'll go to the next one.
Eugene Watkins, Crawfordville, Florida. Allow the citizens to vote. 30% of the registered voters signed a wetlands petition. Let the citizens decide what is best for them. Please forward the wetlands resolution to the supervisor elections. Thank you.
Our next citizen is Mr. Victor Lambu.
Thank you, gentlemen. I do anticipate that you will be following this to our voter register and put it on the ballot. I just want to remind you that, we've had a lot of debates on it, and if I go back to the words of Winston Churchill, democracy is very contentious, and we get mad at each other, but it's a good system. And what it has going for it, in the words of Winston Churchill, it is better than all other systems. Thank you.
Next citizen is Mr. Chris Russell.
Is it just irony that the gentleman that retired from the EPA and the guy that works for the EPA are back to back? I'm just saying. It's kind of funny. I agree exactly what Mr. Lambeau said. I hope you'll move forward with it. I haven't seen the language that's proposed tonight. I saw the language earlier this week, and I was kind of concerned. I felt that the citizens went forth and did a great job of using the tool at hand to get a petition on the ballot, and then it seemed like the language was changed some. I understand that there was some need for that. Me personally, I would think, thank you so much. Me personally, I'm thinking if I signed the ballot, the petition to get it on the ballot, that's the wording I would want, but I guess there's some other reasons it can't go there. But I'd like to commend that group for moving forward and getting it, and I would support y'all moving forward, putting it on the ballot. Thank you.
Okay. Our next citizen is Mr. Ross Berneman.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Ross Berneman. I'm a lawyer from Tallahassee. I'm here on behalf of the Wetlands Alliance in Wakulla. We urge you to adopt the resolution. The Florida Supreme Court has stated that the concept of a referendum is thought to be a keystone of self-government, and the increasing use of its desire on the part of the electorate to exercise greater control over the laws which directly affect them. So regardless of how a citizen feels on the merits of the proposed ordinance, it is important to allow the citizens to govern themselves by placing it on the ballot. Maybe the issue may be different the next time it comes up. So with the revisions made by the county attorney, we believe that the proposed resolution and ballot title and summary meet the statutory requirements, and so the Alliance believes that the revised ballot title and summary is legally sufficient and urges adoption of the resolution. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
We don't normally get in dialogue.
See their attorney, their representative.
Sorry. If it's okay with the board, I'm going to allow Commissioner Castro to ask a question, being that he's their turn. Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, sir. Did you say that you represent the Wakulla Wetlands Alliance?
I'm an attorney at law, and I was just retained today by the Alliance to speak to you with respect to the resolution, sir.
So have you been involved in the process prior to today?
No, sir, I have not, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir. I do have considerable experience on this issue of placing referendum on the ballot, having argued at the state Supreme Court on several occasions, and also successfully sued Orange County on an ordinance that the citizens had proposed. So I think I know a little bit about it.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you. We don't want to get sued.
Okay. Our next citizen is Mr. James Hennessy.
Good evening, Commissioners. James Hennessy, Spring Creek. I think the people of Wakulla County have spoken, so I think now, as other people have said, I think it's the time to move the issue forward by allowing citizens to exercise that most sacred right in a democracy, the right to vote on issues of vital importance to them. I think anything else would be a breach of trust with our public and undermine the faith in our local government. And now that we're at the point of placing, finally, the wetlands issue on the ballot, I really, truly hope that the process of educating the public in an honest, open, and productive manner can begin in earnest by all of us. I know that the citizens are hungry for engaging in a meaningful dialogue on this issue. Thank you.
Our next citizen is Mr. Ron Bisacki.
Ron Pisecki, 137 Royster. Seems like only last July when we started all this. And there's been a lot of acrimony, name-calling, hurt feelings, frustration, and it'd be nice to put it all behind us. So maybe we can get back to business at hand and go about things. So thank you for tonight, and I urge you to support this and pass it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Wilson Cook, who will be followed by Diane Cook.
My name's Wilson Cook. I live on Rio Paz Trace on the Wakulla River, and I'm here to support the resolution of referendum, but I'm here especially to support the original language that was on the resolution, because the new language doesn't quite reflect exactly what's going on. It seems to have left out agricultural as well as 35-foot setback restrictions, so it doesn't really cover what the initial was. Same way, our charter here has been a very new item here. It's just a couple of years we've been under a charter, and I believe that requires that the different city officers do certain functions, and I don't think our county attorney is appropriate for coming in and changing the wording on this already sufficient document that was ready to be submitted. I recommend that you folks approve this and vote on it and bring it for us for a vote.
Okay, our next citizen is going to be Miss Diane Cook.
My name is Diane Cook, and I also would like to see this referendum go forward for a vote in November, since we did have our 30% approval on the ballot.
Thank you. Mr. Rick Groves, and pass. All right, I had a speaker card from Mr. Hugh Taylor. Has he already left? He left. All right. That concludes. And do we have any discussion amongst commissioners?
I got just a couple things. Heather, we're pretty much compelled to do this, right, by the charter, to put it on, put it for referendum.
That is what the charter calls for. If you wanted to withhold that, you would draw a lawsuit like that.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. But anyway, if it was up to me, there would be language in there about no variances in the first 35 feet, and there'd be language, you know, I talked to Heather, she told me she could only have 75 words in there, and I wanted to have words in there like development or construction on your lot, because most people say development, they say, well, development means developer, and go ahead and put whatever restriction you want on the developer. But I think it's going to be my goal to educate people that when they say development, they mean building a shed, cutting trees, anything like that. So, but I do support moving forward with it.
Do we have any more discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Certainly we've got to move forward with it, and I'm ready to get it on the ballot just like everyone else. There's no question of that. I'm a little bit concerned about whether or not we actually have the authority to revise the language. That's my concern. You know, if we look at our charter, Section 6.1.1 says the sponsor of the initiative shall, prior to obtaining any signatures, submit the text of a proposed ordinance to the supervisor of elections with the proposed ballot summary, which they did. They went out and they got 30% of the signatures based on that proposed ballot summary. And then if we go to the consideration, we know for a fact that we have to adopt it. And I'm reading this so the citizens here and at home understand where we're at with this. Within 60 days after the requisite number of names have been verified by the supervisor of elections and reported to the Board of County Commissioners, the Board of County Commissioners shall give notice and hold a public hearing on the proposed ordinance according to law and vote on it. If the board fails to enact the proposed ordinance, it shall by resolution call a referendum on the question. So we're required to. There's no, that's not in question of whether or not we put it on the ballot. Call a referendum on the question of the adoption of the proposed ordinance to be held at the next general election occurring at least 45 days after the adoption of such resolution. If the question of the adoption of the proposed resolution is approved by a majority of those registered electors voted on the question, the proposed ordinance shall be declared. 5 different places it talks about the proposed ordinance, and one place it talks about the proposed ballot summary. My thinking is if we have the power to sit here today and change the proposed ballot summary, what would stop us from changing the proposed ordinance? I don't think that we have either. I don't think that we should have the authority to change the ballot summary or the ordinance. I'm certainly not an attorney, and I welcome to hear the two attorneys in the room, but I think the intent of this citizens initiative was for it to move forward as it was presented. I believe that if we change that in any way, we now own it. We now own it because we've revised that. Our charter doesn't say that we have the provision to change it to something that we like. The only exception, if we drop back to 6.1 under initiative, it says the electors of Wakulla County shall have the right to initiate county ordinances in order to establish new legislation that is not in conflict with state constitution, general law, or the charter. So I would certainly have a question: is the proposed legislation and ballot summary, is that in conflict with state constitution, general law, or the charter? If the answer is no, that it's not in conflict, I think it's clear that we have to move forward as it was proposed. I just don't see that we have the authority. Now, we may take that authority, but I just don't think that's our place.
Well, the way it was proposed in my mind was very unclear. This is 100 times more clear from my position than their ballot language was. It didn't mention a buffer. It didn't mention anything. So I think Heather has gotten with their group, and everybody's in agreement on this language. And I think, as you read, it said proposed ballot summary. It was proposed, then it was revised. It wasn't done shoved down their throat. From my side, which I do not support this 100%, I like this ballot summary language a lot better.
And I do as well, and I totally agree with you that it's clearer. But the question is, if we can change the proposed ballot summary, can we not also change the proposed ordinance? And I'm not suggesting that we do that. I'm suggesting that we allow it to move forward exactly the way it was presented to the citizens. That's what was signed. That's what they achieved. That they followed the charter, and to me, that's what should move forward.
My motion is going to stand.
Commissioner Thomas, there's at least one court case where we do have precedents where the court said that the county is the one that provides the access to the ballot, and the county has a responsibility to provide a legally sufficient ballot summary. We're not proposing to change the ordinance. The intent of the Wakulla Wetlands Alliance has been preserved, which is to put the existing wetlands ordinance on the books and provide that it only can be amended or repealed by either another voter referendum or a unanimous vote of all 5 commissioners. That's been preserved. Additionally, we have used most of the wording that they use and just added additional details so that when the voter steps into that ballot box who has no idea what's going on with the wetlands ordinance, they haven't ever read it, they at least know what it does and what it covers.
Remember, the full text of the ordinance is not going to be on the ballot. When you walk that voting booth, this is what you're going to see. And I guarantee you a lot of people are going to be seeing this for the first time. And I'm a lot happier, like I said, with that link. Now, I think you said you're going to try to provide a copy at the polling station, so at least, but nobody's going to read it. Who's going to read 20 pages of rules? But anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, if I may, you said that we can do that. We can make that. Are we required to do that? Are we allowed to allow it to move forward exactly the way it was initiated and exactly the way 30% of the population signed it to move forward?
If you wanted to do that, I think that ballot necessary details in order to provide an accurate picture to a voter, but that's my opinion. I'm not a judge. The only way I could tell you yes or no for sure on that is if we did a declaratory judgment action, asked the judge to tell us about the ballot language. I'm not recommending that, but that would be the only way you could get a clear answer.
I'm for this moving forward, but I think it's just a dangerous place for us to change it in midstream. This thing has been 6 months in the works. Everyone's known what's moving forward, And I think we're doing a disservice to those that signed it by us making that change.
Well, I think we have an obligation to try to make sure that the language on the referendum is as inclusive as possible. So whenever citizens come and they vote for the first time, they're able to look at those 75 words and fully know what it is that they're voting on. I read what it was before. I read what it is now. It says what it says now is everything that it said initially. It elaborated more into it, and I think it's very important that citizens have a full view of what they're voting on. And I was not confident with the with the language before because it was vague, but the language that will go on there will still say the same thing. It's more elaborated, and I think citizens will be more informed whenever they make their decision.
I totally agree with that, but I think if we were going to take that role, we could have done that up front before all of this happened.
There
Now,
was no process for that, though, for that to happen.
we could have decided to keep the ordinance. We could have amended the ordinance. We could have done a revision. This is a process in our charter where the citizens have decided how they want to move forward, and I just feel that we're changing that. But
I think I brought this issue up when we first, there's nobody to vet the language, the ballot summary.
No,
When
and
it first starts, there's, typically I think in a constitutional amendment, a judge will vet the ballot summary, right?
correct.
Before it's even taken the signatures. Is that correct? Or
No,
before it's put on the ballot?
It's after,
Okay,
but they
before-
automatically go to the court.
Before it's put on the ballot, it's vetted by a judge. I know you're not a judge, but you're as close as we got right now. So
I'm not a
thank you.
judge. No, but,
You're closer to a judge than I am. At least you're a lawyer.
okay.
Yeah. But in the process, this is at this stage of it is really the first time it's actually brought to the commission at this stage of it to view.
Correct, and I think after this is behind us, the county would be best served to look at maybe an ordinance or some additional language in their charter that would clarify some of these steps along the way. I'm not proposing that you put the county attorney in front to review ballot language,
Like that.
but there may be some process that we can put into place to make sure that we're preserving the right of the citizens to go forward, but that we're not caught in this position in future elections.
Because the ballot summary could be worded two totally different ways with the same 75 words and still be true. So I think the fact that they've gotten with our county attorney and they both agree, that's good enough for me. That's hopefully avoids any potential lawsuits.
And I also want to thank the county attorney for going ahead and making contact with the Alliance and letting them know the change and allowing them to view the language before tonight. I think that was very important, and I thank you.
And that was mainly Mr. Lambu who reached out, so he
Thank you, Mr.
and
Lambu.
Mr. Hennessy.
Okay, well,
And I'd like to say that our charter review committee is currently in place, and so this would be a good time for this to be looked at, and
Yes.
maybe we can avoid this problem at some point in the future. I know there are a couple of counties that do look at it up front or have a panel of attorneys that would look at it, and I think some do it right up front and some require a percentage of the signatures be obtained and then they look at it. So, I mean, that can't fix this problem, but I think it's a good indication of why that charter needs to be reviewed, and I hope people will give input. I still think that it kind of hijacks the whole process, so I understand it's cleaner, but unless we go back to the original, I'm going to oppose this tonight.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion amongst commissioners?
When does this have to, when do we have to vote on this?
Now.
No, absolutely not.
We're voting on this tonight.
Resolution.
No, but we do not have to vote on this tonight.
Well, at the last meeting,
pretty
we
close.
indicated that it would be coming back to you at this meeting for a vote.
Yep.
As far as when the supervisor elections cutoff is, I don't know, but we do have a 60-day window from when the signatures were certified to us.
Which I think was February 27th, so I think we're at the point where we've got to move something forward, no doubt.
We have to move this forward, and each commissioner's free to vote for or against the issue, but I think we do need to vote on this tonight and stay in line with it and move it forward.
What was the, Howard, you're waiting patiently, I can see that, but Ralph, that shall language you read, what did that shall say? It said we shall adopt by resolution, right?
Let's see. If the board fails to enact the proposed ordinance, which we did, It shall by resolution call a referendum on the question of the adoption of the proposed ordinance to be held at the next general election occurring at least 45 days after the adoption.
What if this vote fails? Just hypothetically speaking.
If you can take,
We have a mandamus action filed against us.
Okay.
I think we have to pass something.
Yeah.
We have to move it to the ballot tonight. That's
I
not
have
the
a
point of my
question.
comment.
If you can take what was presented to the people and basically between you and Mr. Lambo make changes to that, whatever it may be, good, bad, or ugly, why can't you make whatever changes you want? If you can make any changes, why can't you make whatever change?
Change the ordinance.
It's a summary of what is going to be on the ballot. Not what's going to be on the ballot, but a summary, the change of the summary.
We did not change the ordinance.
Yeah.
Which that ballot summary is very important because every citizen is not going to read this ordinance the way we have.
Yes.
But they're going to read that summary, and that summary is what's been presented to them
I agree.
for the past 6 months. I think we're in dangerous territory that if it moves forward, and I think we need to move the other one forward, if this one moves forward, I believe this board is going to own the language, whether it be good or bad.
Well, I think we need to vote and move this forward. There's some things that have process improvements that have come up, but it's something that the Charter Review Committee can address for future issues. I'm thinking. No, I think we need to vote on this and move this forward tonight. And I'm supportive
I'm
of.
going to vote on it. I'm going to vote against it.
I'm supportive of the language that has been written in there in addition, because I think it's very important that citizens that are seeing this for the first time need to be as fully informed as possible, and I'm more confident that the revision is going to fully inform them, versus what the original was. And I'm also confident in the fact that the members of the Wetlands Alliance have also agreed to the new revised language. I agree with you. Those 75 words are very, very important, and the initial thing wasn't but about 30 words, 35 or 40 words. I don't know how many words, but anyway, it's been elaborated on. It will more fully inform the citizens, and even the citizens that signed a petition. If someone just signed a petition and signed it and went on and they didn't read it, then they even the ones who have signed a petition have not read the language. So many people, even those who have signed a petition, some of them are going to read the language for the first time, and that's very important. I just urge the board to vote this forward.
May I ask a question of the chairman of the Wakulla Wetlands Alliance?
Yes. Well, Mr. Lambu, would you mind coming to the podium?
Sir, I understand that the gentleman told us that he was retained today and was not involved in this process from the very start. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I recall that one night you stood here and you said that we're almost ready to move this language forward to the supervisor of elections, that you currently have it with your attorney, and as soon as he signs off on it, it's going to go to the supervisor of elections. Am I wrong about that?
I don't believe you said anything exactly what you're saying.
Well, let me ask you a pointed question. Did you have an attorney review the language up front prior to it going to the supervisor of elections?
We did not. We did not have an attorney under contract with us before that. Yes, we had some attorneys look at it.
So you had an attorney give you an official opinion of whether or not it was sufficient?
When you say official, I'm not sure what that means.
Well, was he acting in the capacity as an attorney?
He was acting, giving advice like I would give advice to you or anyone else, what they thought.
Layman's advice.
We did not hire an attorney.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any more discussion amongst commissioners?
I mean, my only point is they had an attorney involved in this process, whether they hired him, whether they retained him, whether he was, this was done up front. I think we're in dangerous territory changing the wording, even though they've agreed to it, even though we can all agree it makes it clearer. I think that we're hijacking that process.
I think we can move this forward, just like Ralph is saying. We can move it forward here tonight, and I will vote with Ralph on this, and that we can move what the language that is presented to the people forward.
Absolutely.
We're not restricting anything.
That's what the people signed up for, and that's what we should give them.
So I'm gonna vote with Commissioner Thomas.
Is there any more discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2.
Can't be 5-0 on everything.
It's all good.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Agenda item number 14, tab number 14.
Motion to approve the resolution revising the Parks and Recreation fee schedule.
Second, but I've got some suggested modifications, minor.
Okay, we have a motion made and second for item 14. Is there any discussion amongst commissioners? I don't have any citizens to speak on that item.
He's got...
Yeah, I've got a couple of modifications that I'd like to offer if you're in agreement.
What attachment are you going to?
This is tab 14. And
Yeah, but what attachment?
most of the changes were made in tab 14, alternate 2.
Two, and
Yeah.
what part of that?
Just the
Exhibit
fee
B,
schedule.
Exhibit B, the fee schedule.
Okay.
And basically, we have a fee for the large room, and that's for an all-day rental of $100
This community center, Ralph, you're talking about?
at the community center. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Which is the west building.
The Crawfordville room.
Yeah,
The west-
Crawfordville room.
The west building.
So what I'm suggesting, we've got an all-day fee for $100. I'm suggesting that we also include a half-day and a quarter-day, so $150 and $25. That way, if somebody wants it, they're not, if they want to have a baby shower or something, they're not tying up for the entire day, and we're not charging them the full amount. So 2 rooms, basically that one, and then also I think the Crawfordville room to have just a full day and a half-day rate on that one. And
That work
then-
for you, David? All right, fine with me.
And then my third point is just to put the provision in there that any money that we collect from the community center goes back to the community center so we can help that thing support itself and not just swept into general recreation department.
And I agree with that. The only provision I need is if we have any expenses, the county has any expenses in that particular event, we deduct that out, and then the rest of that goes to the...
Fine, yes.
I'll modify my motion.
One sec. The Crawfordville room and which other one?
The west building, the large...
Okay.
The larger, yeah.
That is the Crawfordville
That is the
room.
Crawfordville room?
Yes.
You mean the Wakulla room with the kitchen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, the
okay.
color room-
color room with the kitchen is what he's talking about,
Yeah,
I think.
and the large one.
And the large one,
Yeah.
that's right.
Right.
That's right.
Okay, so instead of just having daily, hour, weekly, and monthly, you're gonna add half day and a quarter day under those 2 items.
Well, under the one with the kitchen, it would just be full day and half day.
Okay.
It wouldn't have the quarter day.
Okay. Y'all got that?
Oh, hold on. 150 and 25.
That's the Crawfordville room.
Right.
It's gonna have 3 options now instead of just 1. The Wakulla room's gonna have 2 options instead of 1.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, we'll bring this back as we get further into it. It may make some sense to adjust some of this stuff up, but this is our first round of adjustments.
I'll modify my motion then with Ralph's suggestion.
Thank you.
Do we have any more discussion amongst commissioners? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, tab number 16.
Motion to approve.
Second. Very important.
Yes.
I think I beat you on that second.
A motion made and
He
second.
beat me on the motion.
Any discussion amongst commissioners?
No, I'm really happy that this thing is getting done finally. It needs to get off our plate and needs to fix up that neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Very, very important lift station. It serves all of Crawfordville.
Yes, it is.
And understand, this will, as I reiterate each one of y'all, that we're gonna overspend the sewer fund, based on this and as well as the next agenda item. But that's okay, it's an enterprise fund. But understand, when it goes into the negative next year, before we get all of our ducks in a row, the general fund's gonna have to support this. Okay, so I'm just letting you know.
Which is, I think what you're trying to say is instead of sending money somewhere else, another department, we're gonna need to use it here
Exactly.
on the sewer.
Exactly.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed?
The next agenda item...
To approve?
Second.
David, go ahead and read it. Then we got the motion and second.
Request board approval of task order from Baskerville Donovan for professional services related to relocation of utilities for State Road 61 realignment project. This is the project that the realignment for 319 and 98. This is part of a DOT's requirement as part of their movement moving this project forward. So anyway, these are services that we must go ahead and do. This will actually give us, they will study it for the realignment. This will give us the cost estimates that it'll cost to come back and actually move the sewer whenever they do the realignment.
We have to do this, and we are
Yes.
responsible for moving it.
We have to do that, and as of right now, we are responsible.
All in favor of the
Well,
motion?
wait,
Oh,
wait,
well,
discussion.
Just about discussion. Go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner Kessler.
Well, I guess this is like a question like a prior agenda item. Do we have to do this? We didn't ask them as a priority to do this intersection.
And can I explain why we have to do it?
Yeah, please.
We have a utility permit from DOT to put that sewer in the right-of-way, the state right-of-way, and in that utility permit, it specifically says if they reroute the right-of-way or if they move it, if they decide to put a sidewalk over the top of our sewer line, we have to move it. That we're there at their pleasure, in other words.
All right.
Right, so the estimated expense of this to the county?
To move the sewer line?
That's part of what this will tell us. Part of this will be a projection of what those costs will be.
And
Right, and so...
Hopefully,
okay.
maybe DOT with the alignment can leave it there. I don't know. I mean, I guess one of these is to figure out where the sewer lines are in relation to the new alignment.
Right.
To see if they even need to be moved.
So who's paying for this?
We're paying for the $13,425. The entire study, fee study from start to finish, and Brent, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's plus $70,000. Yeah, it's right around $70,000. That's from start to completion. We carved out this portion of it due to the fact of currently there's a bill that is moving through the state that would, on small counties that are like ours, when DOT requests for utilities to be moved, as the way it stands today, we would have to move those at our expense, but the bill that's moving forward by Representative Beshears would actually require, or the DOT would have the option, the option of DOT picking that cost
If
up.
you're a RACIC county.
If you're a RACIC
Which
county.
is a-
Now, and the
yeah,
key
now-
there is the option. Key there is option. So it's not a guarantee, but it's a heck of a lot better than what we got today. So this, in theory, this could be all we could spend there. But understand the entire realignment of 319 is upwards to $9 million, just in case you got an idea.
For sewer.
If we don't do that and realign it, that's the bill that we're facing.
I did write that memo in 2000, but anyway.
So, yeah, I understand what's going on. I just am opposed to the $13,000. I'm opposed to the upside down prioritization, so I'll be voting against it.
Is there any more discussion amongst commissioners?
Basically, I will recluse myself because quite possibly I might have a conflict of interest. I don't think I do, but I will recluse myself on that.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes 3-1. Okay, next we have the commissioner agenda items. Commissioner Moore.
Basically, let me turn down to that one. Sometime, I think maybe last year, we changed our sign ordinance and made the signs much smaller than they are in the neighboring counties, particularly on election and whatever. And my suggestion is that we just go back to the original sign size that we had. And that's basically it.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second so we can, I've got two citizens speak, but if we can get a motion.
You got a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Okay, I have two citizens to speak. The first citizen is John Shuff.
This is to advertise, to hold a public hearing, to modify the ordinance. Right, so it's a long process. Maybe.
I just wanted to support what Jerry's trying to do. We are trying to work on the sign ordinance. We actually met with one of our sign companies today, going over the many facets of the ordinance. There's no way in the world we could ever get done to before political season. It's almost upon us, and it would be a good idea if you guys went ahead and dealt with this one item and support the 4x4 signs for the road signs. I think it's probably an unintended consequence when we brought the old ordinance back in, and nobody went through and read it closely. Thank you.
I have a question, and
Commissioner Kessler, I just got one more citizen. If I can
Okay.
let that citizen, then we can go to discussion.
Sure.
Mr. Chris Russell. That's the only other one I got, Commissioner.
I agree with the idea to go back. I wish we could do it quicker, so I guess that you can't talk with me, but I guess August is the earliest we can get it done. One thing I would suggest maybe for the political signs, and, you know, I find this hard to believe as a candidate, I say we put a time limit on how long political signs can be out. Maybe set a time frame ahead of the
It's
elections.
in there, isn't it? I think it's already in there.
Is it in there? But that's for picking them up, right? It's not pre.
It's not free, it's after.
I'm all for pre, after my election, of course. No, I am all for pre, that we look at it and, you know, maybe try to craft something. I know John's working hard to get something up there for you. If you can make this one go quicker, that'd be great. I am interested at the, how it's enacted now. If you have a violation, say for example, I have a 4x4 campaign sign out there, what will happen? Will we go to every violation in the county?
Jail time.
Jail time for all of us in it together? Okay.
We can get it
Anyway,
over with.
I support this going forward, and I would say, hey, look at putting a pre-political time frame on it, so we help beautify our county. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Kessler, you had comments?
A couple of things. I was confused by the mention of dealing with a sign company that Mr. Schuff had said, so I wasn't sure what that was about, and I'd like maybe to have that clarified. Mr. Schuff, could you come up here, please? I know. You mentioned you were dealing with a sign company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how, can you elaborate on that?
Oh, yeah, just a sign company that deals with signs on a daily basis. They have a different perspective than you or I might have about what works with signs and what doesn't work with signs.
With respect to?
I think it's pretty common. I know recently the city of Tallahassee redid their sign ordinance, and they called in various owners of sign companies to give their input.
You know, I've heard that with billboards and such. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, this person doesn't do billboards.
Commissioner Kessler, I think we've been trying to
what
practice not to get in too much of a dialogue.
What are you?
Well, I was just trying to clarify.
Are you insinuating something?
What the sign companies are, who they are.
We have several. We have Auto Trim is one sign company.
Okay,
then we have Wakulla Signs.
That explains it. I got it. Okay. No,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking of
but
billboards,
we
and
were-
they were thinking about something else. The question I have then for the county attorney is, and it was also mentioned about these political signs, road signs, but I think I may have read in here that this applies to like political signs that are in people's yards.
This is, the restriction that is being proposed to change is the size for in a residential zoning district.
Okay, so this is not just a roadside, something that's on the border of a right-of-way. This is in someone's residential neighborhood. We would now be increasing the size to a 4x4?
4x4, that's correct.
And that would apply then to not just political signs, would it apply to other signs, or?
We do strive to keep all signs in a residential area the size regardless of the content, so we would likely bring back the ordinance when we bring it back would likely increase the size if it's voted to go forward tonight for political signs and then other residential signs as
Now,
well.
this works also on residential and commercial.
Commercial, there's a different size limit already, correct, for Louis?
That's right, yeah, a
It's
larger,
already higher.
32 square feet are allowed in commercial.
Yeah, it's already bigger up there.
Yeah.
So so we're increasing the size, it sounds like 4 times the size of a sign roughly that we have in our ordinance now, and we're going to signs that are 4 times that size. I don't think that's, my going through this county, I don't think that's what the people of this county want to see.
Well, I'll say that I'm in favor of the 4x4 signs. You know, the reason being is I had a lot of people whenever I was campaigning. there was a lot of people that said that they were, as they're driving down the road, they were not able to read the small signs. That the 4x4 signs did make it more visible, and they could make out colors and they could make out logos, but there's a lot of people that they just have a hard time reading the small signs, and the 4x4 sign makes the message a lot more visible, and I think that's important as well.
I got two things real quick for our candidates out there. Please remember, you cannot put signs in the right-of-way, no matter what size they are. That always really griefed me when I had Cleve's job, trying to mow the grass, and there'd be a campaign sign out there in the ditch. And I'll make a personal promise: if I'm unopposed, I won't put a single sign out. Thank you.
I'll do this. Well, I started to do the same thing.
Do we have any more discussion before we go
My
vote?
opponent will step back. I will do the same thing.
Well, any commissioners, do we have any more discussion before we go to vote? I'm in favor of the 4x4 signs myself for that reason, simply because I think citizens, I've had a lot of citizens tell me in the past that they were able to read and understand the 4x4 signs better. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, our next item, Commissioner Thomas.
Yes, as you know, I serve on the Tourist Development Council appointed from this board, and I've been asked to present a proclamation. Should I read it? Have you guys read it?
Is it long?
Yeah, it's a full page.
I've read it, but you know.
I've read it. Well, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Dang.
Okay, we have a motion made and second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, our next item is County Attorney.
I'll make a motion to approve both of her items. How about that?
Second.
Well, I think we need to. Are we able to do both of them at the same time, or we need to go one at a time?
You can do them both at the same time. Just let me put into the record what they
Okay.
actually are.
Good deal for us.
There are two settlements of foreclosure actions for code liens. One is with Home Opportunity, and one is with Earl Worth.
And they're substantially more than our time invested in it. It's why it's such a good deal. It's not like the other ones where we took the minimum. I can't believe she got them to agree to it. So.
Both of these will be good for the county, and it's agreeable with the property owner. It's a win-win all the way around.
Yes.
So you wanted to read it in to the record?
Think
I
you
just wanted
did.
the name of what you were voting on the record
And-
before you actually voted.
And we'll be voting actually on both of these, right? The one on item 21 and 22.
Yes, that's my motion.
That's fine if you want to vote them
Okay.
together.
Before
Who
we go to vote,
who seconded? I didn't get it.
Dr. Kessler?
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The County Administrator?
The only thing I've got is just to bring you up to date. We're going through our mid-year financial review. We're halfway through the process so far.
Mr. Lambu, Mr. Shepp, I want to ask y'all to kind of hold it down a little bit. I can't hear Mr. Edwards. Thank you.
So far this year, we're moving along just about on budget. We've got a few little challenges here and there. Revenues are coming in just about the way we expected them. So far, we're looking good. One of the things we changed up this year, I have asked each constitutional to send their mid-year projections in, meaning send me what you think you're going to be at the end of the year, where you'll be revenue as well as expense-wise, and what you'll be returning back. So as soon as I get that information, which will be in here Friday, I'll actually prepare a report and send it to each one of you commissioners so you can kind of get an idea of where we'll be, where we'll end the year. Naturally, there's 6 more months to go, but it'll give you a good idea as to where we stand today and where we will be at the end of the year, and that'll help us all in the budget process.
How are we looking in jail bid?
We're still
Good or
running
not
about
good?
$2 million. That's what we'll. If it keeps where it's at, it'll be $2 million this year.
What? And that's $500,000 short on
of
revenue.
what was budgeted. That's right.
And can I ask another?
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
Does that tie in with what Charlie was saying earlier about the 7 positions?
Well, I talked to Sheriff Creel and told him that was they were heading in the right direction, because it is the problem is between according to how you do your math, between $500,000 and $1 million problem, according to how it is. And the biggest thing there was just ownership of the fund, and that's what we talked about. And if he'll just, all he's got to do is it's real easy, is just spend within. If the revenues are coming in, then we need to put some back to fund balance. But if they're not, then we got to trim back. So, but I think he's on the right track. Don't get me wrong, that's heading in the right direction. But the biggest thing is just do the math. Do the math. And if it works, that's it's great. But you got your fund there. Do the math inside your fund and bring that budget back to us. That's pretty much what we discussed.
Okay. Do you have any other items?
That'll be it.
All right. Our final one. We have the second citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens? Okay. I think some of these citizens have already left already, but our first citizen is Mr. Steve Cushman.
I was going to do this earlier, but I didn't want to hold up the meeting any more than it already was with what we had on the agenda. But I just wanted to report back. We had a little incident after the meeting last meeting, as you guys know, where Mrs. Lambu had a little injury there. I was able to talk to her last week. She's doing fine, and back to I tell you, she's one tough cookie. So I was just kind of happy to find out she was okay. The second thing is keeping with Chris Russell's meditation that he did last meeting. I would like to take a moment of silence in memory of Rod Revel. He was one of the first people that I met when I came here, and between him and Commissioner Merritt, we were able to move forward with some development up there at the shop we have on Bluxom Cutoff. And I tell you, he was a wonder to work with, and he's truly missed around here. So I'd like to just take a moment of silence for him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good gesture.
And our next citizen is Mr. Jack Rudlow. I don't see him here. Murray McLaughlin. Hugh Taylor.
Gone.
Chuck Hickman.
Gone.
Nope.
See Rick Groves. Bob. Bob Danzy.
Bob's here.
Thank you. Rick Groves. Just a logistical question. I know you can't answer me right this minute, but if one of y'all could address or have the staff address the, I guess, the timeline that's defined for the next step into the wetlands ordinance as to when the 35-foot buffer is supposed to go away. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Bob Danzy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason I got up here tonight was to thank y'all as a group, as a whole. Our county was about $300,000 from spending all their money up just a year or so ago. And I think, I'm not sure that the public always understands just how close we were. Mr. Edwards came on. What I'm going to say, I think he did a great job. He's done a great job. He's got a plan. The commissioners, y'all have done terrific at saving money where you could. So this is just, y'all get beat up a lot. So it's just a chance for me to say, and the reason I do this is because the gentleman came earlier in the meeting and give you a summary of the audit, of the budget. And he, in almost every case, he said things are better. Now, they're not great, and we're not out of the woods, and hopefully, as a realtor, I can help you all by selling houses for a little bit more money here and there. That'll help all of us and get you some more tax money up. But for what we've had to deal with, I just think you should be commended. There's two of you that are running in elections, and people should keep that in consideration. So thank you. Thank all of you.
Okay, Commissioner discussion items. We'll start.
Two items. Number one, I am going to bring back on the next agenda the nonpartisan thing. Heather, we as a board, just so I word my agenda item right, we vote to put an item on the referendum for a charter amendment, or is there a long process that this needs to go through?
Well, we would have to draft the charter amendment.
Okay.
And then
So my
adopt the referendum
motion, I guess,
resolution.
would be staff direction to draft the charter amendment to make all county elected officials nonpartisan.
Is that something you guys are taking up already, or?
But we talked about going ahead and proceeding. Yeah, we talked about going ahead and proceeding, so we know at least that one issue will be on the ballot.
I'd like to add to that, while you're doing that, put an 8-year limit.
No. We're just going to address at this point, we're just going to address the nonpartisan. And do we need to address the mechanics of, well, we have everybody runs in the primary, and then there's a runoff in the general, or do we have everybody just runs in the general, and if there's nobody gets 50%, then there's a runoff? I guess I'll need to talk about all that later, because do we need to make a decision on how that needs to go, or is there a standard template that we have to follow? Because I would think if you just did a primary, voter turnout is much less on a primary than it is on a general. And
There's probably a lot of ways you can do it. I mean, there's some examples already for like
Calm down,
school
please.
boards that are already nonpartisan. However they do it, you could mimic that.
Fair enough. Anyway, I'm going to be bringing it back next meeting. Chris is just about to jump out of his skin over there. Louis, on the gentleman asked earlier about the wetland. When is that scheduled? I know we have to make a decision on what to do with the wetlands ordinance. Is that
It's May 5th agenda. I have an item.
what? May,
The next board meeting.
the next board meeting?
That's when the 35-foot's going to go away?
No. The next board meeting is when this board is going to make a decision on what to do with the wetland ordinance. And no matter what we do, it still takes 2 or 3 months after that, right? Because if we vote to repeal an ordinance, if we vote to modify an ordinance, it follows the same process of public hearings and everything. Is that correct?
That's correct. It would
Okay.
go to planning commission and then come here.
That's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Moore?
I just my wife and I happened to go to the New Light Church on Sunday, and we had the agenda item whereby we allowed them to put up their sign up on 319. And after that church service, I told him that maybe he should ask for 5 signs, because I would have given them. They had a very good service and a wonderful song service. It was absolutely a wonderful song service.
Okay, the only thing I have is it happened the other day that they had a grand opening for the community center, one-stop community center. That grand opening was very well attended. I'm not sure the full number, but there was probably 600 or 700 people that came there. It was a full day, and if that's any indication of the direction this is going to go, I believe that community center is going to be a very positive aspect for our county. It's got the gymnasium in the back that everybody was just amazed. There's actually a waiting list right now of people waiting to be able to use it. I've heard the number today. I think there's close to 28 people that's already on the waiting list in order to use it for some function or another. And then once it gets fully operational, I just believe the community center is going to be a very big asset for our county, and I'm thankful that we have it.
We can all take credit for it.
And I'd like to add to that, in addition to the grand opening, the Wakulla Waterfront's photo exhibit was last Thursday night. That was also very well attended, and those photos are still up. So if anyone missed that, swing by the community center and take a look at that. It's a real good capture of our fishing community.
Okay, Commissioner Kessler?
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't catch what Commissioner Moore said right after the talk about the nonpartisan elections. I didn't catch that. There was something
Talking
to
about going to a church.
No. I'm talking about when we were talking.
Oh, he said go ahead and put 8-year term limits in there.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. Okay, good. And then relating to the bringing back an agenda item on nonpartisan, rather than just direct staff to do that, do we also include a workshop so that we can discuss what we think are good templates or suggestions to give staff direction?
That'd be a good time for Chris to give his input. I know he's dying. I wouldn't mind doing it before a board meeting. If I can get the 5-0 vote on it, I'll suggest a date.
I would be in favor of a workshop. I think we need it.
May 5th at 4.
Are we supposed to have examples for you guys? to
No, I think
discuss?
that we're
Have it
try-
done, Heather.
we're supposed to bring our suggestions and look at different templates so that we can give staff some direction of what to do.
And, you know, of course, we can have the school board, how they do it, that's easy enough. And maybe we could ask them,
Voted unanimously to do it.
Buddy would, I don't, I just think we ought to do it how the school board does it, but I'm not adverse to talking about it at least.
Well,
Is
I'll-
4 o'clock all right on?
Are you gonna plan on getting us your recommendations prior to the workshop, so we can,
commissioner needs to give us their recommendations.
prior to, so we
You
can
don't want
review it?
politicians to give recommendations, we just need to get up here and talk about it briefly. And
But
what do
we don't know
know?
what you're gonna talk about, because we won't have recommendations pulled
We want to
together
talk
by
about
then.
how to, if we are going to do nonpartisan, if we do agree to put it on the ballot, how should we structure that procedure to get someone elected? I think is that, Howard?
Yeah, I think we as commissioners have to research whatever there is out there as far as different templates, bring those to the workshop and discuss them and see, you know.
I don't think we need 5 individual suggestions. If we got 5, that's fine, but I'm just going to talk about it. Is 4 okay? So I'll make a motion, we have a workshop 4 o'clock, May 5th, before the meeting. Second. You have a second? Alan?
We have a motion made and second for
Brenda, you got that?
a workshop before the meeting on what was the date?
May 5th.
On May 5th.
May 5th, sorry, at 4.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Commissioner
I have
Moore,
one
you
other
said you had
thing.
one other?
On the community center, there's absolutely nobody in this county who has worked harder on the community center than Bruce Ashley. Bruce, would you stand up? This is Bruce and Gail Campbell have put so many hours into this. It's just unbelievable the number of hours of volunteer work, they don't get paid for it, that they have put into it. So we thank you for that.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, motion adjourned. Thank you.
He did call me about his building permit a few years ago. I think I helped him out. I mean, I couldn't tell you where he lives. Yes, sir. He's like a nice guy. He don't want somebody that's gonna be ugly. He don't want somebody that's gonna be vicious. No. Yeah, I think Christmas is great.
It's your last meeting, right?
We'll just have Jessica put in the ad.
Hopefully not your last meeting, but the last one that you'll be remembered by, like me.
Heard rumors to that effect. Congratulations. I hope you a long, healthy, and happy retirement.
Good meeting, Richard.
Don't worry, I had the same
Good for you. Lady, success.
What was the suggested language by our attorney, what'll be on the ballot?
So has the one come out in April yet? Okay, so you have one more coming out. Okay.
I just thought about something. Heather, which one of these is, where's the ballot when we come here?
Hold on, I'm answering. Right here.
You got a copy of it? Okay.
No, I gave them, one of the commissioners might have an extra copy. I gave them all away while I was sitting here.
And this will be, I can say, tell the people of Wakulla County, this is what's going to be on the ballot.
Yes.